ASMR Lady Lucidity Art. Hello my lovelies. For today's video I'm going to be taking these two candlesticks and turning them into a floor standing candle holder. So I have a lot of candles and candle holders in my flat, but I wanted to make something that was more of a statement. So I wanted to have a tall candle holder that I could put on my floor, and it'd be freestanding, and I'm going to put a pillar candle on top. So you can try this obviously yourselves at home if you can get hold of a couple of old candlesticks like I have. As you can see, they have a little bit of wear and tear on them, and the paint's actually started to chip off. So I got these from work and they were heavily reduced, so I think together they were about under £8, something like that. But I love recycling things, and I thought this would be a really good opportunity to record a video and make something with them. So this probably isn't going to be a particularly long video, but I hope you enjoy it all the same. So I'm going to clear my workspace and I will get started. So I have my two candlesticks, and to start with I'm just going to use the smaller one. So I'll take this one away, just pop you on the floor. Okay. So you may notice that my candlestick is quite dark. It's actually a dark brown colour, and it's a plastic one that's got a resin coating on top, which has started to peel off. So normally on a dark piece like this, if you want to cover it, you'll need to put a lighter coating on top, so a white or a grey, so that your colours are still vibrant and the dark doesn't show through too much. Unless you want a darker colour, in which case you can work straight on top of it. However, the paint that I'm using today is acrylic with no water in it, just as it is out of the bottle, so it's quite a thick consistency. Just show you. So I can paint this straight onto my candlestick, and because it's quite thick, it hopefully won't show through the dark, so I don't need to do a base coat. And of course I'm painting mine purple because my favourite colour is purple, but I am going to add a little bit of this silver paint because I want it to have a metallic finish. So let's just add some of that. Okay, and then mix it in. Just pop you out of the way. Okay. and that should give me the metallic-y finish that I'm looking for. Okay, so when it's dry it'll have a slight shine to it. Okay, so I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up, and I have a plastic covering to make sure that none of my furniture gets paint on it. Okay, I'm using a large rounded brush for this. If you want to add an extra layer of sealant or waterproofing to your candlestick, say for example if you are using it as a decorative item in your garden or on a balcony, I would suggest that you put a sealant on it, or you can mix a bit of PVA glue into your paint, which will give it a light sealant coating, but it won't give it a waterproof one. So if you want it for outside, I would suggest you go and get some proper waterproof sealant. Okay. Trying to make the brush strokes as smooth as possible so that we don't see any smudges or smear marks. Okay. And I think I'm going to do 2 coats to this, just to add vibrancy to my colour. Okay, don't know how well you can see that, but it is very purple. Sort of like a Cadbury purple, I should think. Okay. Now mine has lots of ridges, so if yours is a straight up and down candlestick then you won't have this problem, but I need to make sure that I get in all the little nooks and divots. Okay. And to make sure I paint the underside of my candlestick. Okay. Okay. And the top. Now, a nice little tip is if you're using something that is wooden or isn't in fact made to hold candles for the top of your candlestick, then you may want to invest in one of these, which is a glass plate. They are fairly inexpensive and you can get them from a lot of homeware stores, and these are actually to rest candles on top of. So this will guard your candlestick against any burning or heat damage. So what I'm going to do when my candlestick is dry is I'm going to glue it to the top of my candlestick, because even though this is made for putting candles on top of, I think this adds a nice little touch, and it's also good as a heat guard. So I'm going to put that to one side for later, and just finish painting the top of my stick. Okay. Like so. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let this dry completely, give it a second coat, and then I'll paint the other one exactly the same with 2 coats, and then I will show you the next part. So now we have our painted candlestick. The paint is completely dry, and I've also added some super glue to both ends, so my candlestick is now solid and won't fall apart. As I said, the paint is completely dry, apart from this bit at the bottom, which you can probably see is shinier than the top half, and that's purely because this is the 3rd coat of paint with my texture effect added onto it. And I'm going to zoom you in now so we can focus on the top half, and I can show you how the process is done, and then we can add our finishing touches. So I'll just zoom you in. Okay, so I'm going to start at the bottom of the top part of our candlestick, and for this technique I'm using some of my silver paint that I previously mixed with my purple, and I've got it in a container, and I'm just going to pick up a small amount onto a piece of material. You can use a sponge or paper towel for this if you want to, and I'm going to lightly press, just dabbing around the base like so. Okay, so as I'm doing this, I'm giving it a few seconds to dry a little, but not completely. So what I want to do is I actually want to start to buffer some of the paint off. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is hold my candlestick steady, and I just want to start to lightly rub off some of the paint, not all of it, just enough to give it sort of an antique-y look, I guess. It's very similar to dry brushing or wall stippling. Okay, so just give it a bit of a buffer. Okay, and you can already see it's got that slight metallic shine to it that we want. Okay. Grab a bit more paint. I'm just going to work up my candlestick. Okay, so again, grabbing a bit more paint. You don't want a lot for this. You don't want to overload it. Okay. Just press into all those nooks and crannies. Okay. Just grab a bit more paint. There we go. Okay. And then adjust my cloth and start to buffer. Okay. Making sure it doesn't wobble too much. Okay. And carry on upwards. This technique also will cover any spaces that you've missed, maybe if you've been painting the first coat. Basically it just gives it a bit more texture to your candlestick. Okay. Okay, so you can see the shine that we've added to it. If you want the effect to be brighter, you can do obviously more than one coat, but I want to keep it fairly subtle, so I'm just going to do the one. Okay. I love the shine that it puts on these. Okay. Okay, put that away. So now for the final touch, I'm just going to let that dry for a few minutes until it's touch dry, and then we'll add our plate at the top and then we'll be finished. Now this might look a little bit messy, but this is PVA glue, so it will dry clear, providing that I don't leave any large lumps. So I'm just going to take my brush and smooth it out. Okay, so it will dry to a clear film because it is PVA. So I just want a thin layer to cover the top of my candlestick. Okay. Try and smooth it out as best as I can. Okay. I think that should just about do it. Just going to take off a little bit from the inside. Okay. And now I'm going to grab my glass plate. And gently place it on top. Give it a firm squeeze all the way around, making sure to wipe off any excess from the top. Okay. Make sure I've lined it up. Okay. Okay, grab my pillar candle. Now obviously you'll want to wait till yours is completely dry before doing this, but this is just for display purposes. So I'm going to pop my pillar candle on top just to show you what it would look like. Okay, so that is our finished floor candle holder. I will post some pictures after the video so you can get a good closer look at the paint effect, but I hope you all enjoyed and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.